All right. Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. It's November 19th. NQ tested and held key support yesterday. 24,400 remains a multi week area of support there. Zooming out on the chart, you can see the 4 hour blue zone, massive area of support. If we take a look at the daily chart, pretty clear. Pretty clear. So, the main focus for today and really through the end of the week is whether buyers can continue to defend this level, whether we continue to see this pivot hold as support or not. If we see 400, basically the prior day low is going to be the level to watch. If we see that area continue to hold, I'll be looking for the bounce, much like yesterday, potentially up into prior day high, 24,800, and really through that prior day high through the 24,800 up into 25K. That's pretty much the game plan for today. If we see 24,400, basically, if we see prior day low fail, that is going to be a much larger technical breakdown, much higher time frame breakdown. You're gonna have a daily time frame breakdown. It's gonna shift the intermediate term from neutral sideways into bearish. As of right now, NQ is right up against that last week low, that 24,626 level. That'll be a solid level to keep an eye on off the open. We ended up shortly after the stream shut down yesterday, we ended up seeing that spring setup. Arguably play of the day right through there. 24,400 long with the intraday spring. That marked the low for the session. Really nice bounce. NQ ended up retesting the highs. And then we see a sell into the close. Volatility is still here, so I'll definitely be trading with lighter size this morning. Those structures that we're seeing are just quite wide. So you got to be able to account for wider structures. That's just a byproduct of volatility. Stops are going to be larger. It's nothing to freak out about. You just got to size accordingly. Andreas, welcome back, sir. And tomorrow, I believe tomorrow's NFP, is it not? Pretty sure we have NFP tomorrow. We do have FOMC minutes today. That's usually a non-event, but FOMC minutes at 2 p.m., not to be confused with the actual rate decision. Healthy Veg, any Black Friday sales for APT? Yes. If there are licenses still available, there will be a sale for APT. Still finalizing all the details on that, but best way to make sure you're kept in the loop is to jump on our email list. Because next week we have, let's see, just looking at the schedule, we got a few minutes here. So obviously won't be live for Thanksgiving, probably won't be live for Friday the 28th, maybe. We'll see. But that more than likely that's a no trade day. So we'll have 3 streams next week, Monday through Wednesday. And any Black Friday sale that we run will be live through Monday, December 1st. But I fully expect all the licenses will be sold out during that next weekend if they aren't beforehand. We have a 250 person hard cap on APT. And Q coming through the 626. We have 2 minutes till the open. VWAP right through here, session volume point of control right through here. So beneath 626, if this level fails, I'll be waiting for that overnight low zone. That area will actually be a little bit tricky, like I was outlining in the notes this morning, simply because you have the level of interest in this area, but you also have the prior day low. So that makes for a fairly wide spread between these two levels. And what makes it challenging is like, well, do you want to try it on you want to try a bounce on the first attempt, the kind of the top of the area? Or do you want to wait for, the lower portion, the prior day low? Well, if you wait and it bounces here, you may miss the move. If you get in at the first test, the first level, that may just roll over into 400. It's always a little bit tricky when you have those wider zones. Typically, what I've found is in those scenarios, 1 to 2 minutes of patience can go a long way. Yeah, FOMC minutes, 2 p.m. More than likely a non-event. Let's see this open here. 30 seconds. Oh, we do have NVIDIA earnings after the close as well. So that'll definitely be market moving for NASDAQ. All right, there's the open. What are we looking at? About 610 opening print. Not really any gap. No gap at all. Fresh lows being made right there. ES also pressing the lows. Gave time to stay disciplined. Yes, sir. Every day. NQ retesting the 626. There's a session high. Looks like that opening 5-minute will close bullish. Let's see the next 30 seconds. So buyers need that 626 to hold now. ES is into last week's low as well, the 6655 level. It's pretty clear until the overnight high, 733 on NASDAQ. Am I cash? No, I'm long. Looking for overnight high. Right now, trailing down near my entry, trailing 34. There's a basically half of my normal size right here, just based on the volatility we're seeing. So, got to go for some wider targets, let your trades breathe a little more. And the idea there, if you can't tell, is just the little microstructure at the 626. Oh, wow. Look at that. Sheesh. Big slippage in the micros, not an NQ. Well, that ate into some of the gains. Still green though, so we'll take it. Wow. Just ate like 20 points of slippage right there. Ouch. And that holds back into session highs. Darn. Part of the game right there. So 10 minutes in, NQ making new highs. Just now it's game of patience for me. Looking for a re-entry. Dang, Gabe, what happened with the slippage there, I imagine? NQ volume is well below average. Yeah, that might just be a glitch, Gabe. So NQ idea continuing into overnight high. We had said that was the target. At least PT1. Then really you want to go for the 800 if you still have the long. What would my target be on ES? So I always go for first level or first reference point. So for ES, the overhead level is the overnight high, which pretty much perfectly aligns with the prior day volume point of control as well. And Q, there's your overnight high. Nice push. Nice push. Gabe, probably what happened is that wick actually hit the daily loss limit and then they went to liquidate you. And because it was so fast, you got a more favorable execution. So honestly, that's like best case scenario, man. APT just nailed a 100-point dub. Rather be locked out at negative 300 than 1000. Yeah. Yeah, that's honestly a win. That's nice. A mod next entry. I'm looking at overnight high. If we get some structure at overnight high, but NQ is almost into that next target at 800 prior day high area. Yeah, Mario, they got me out too with the slippage. Andreas, do me a favor and check your broker to see if it actually executed. Because I've heard a report that the max stop filter is not working. But if it didn't take your trade, then that's a good sign. I don't use the max stop filter on APT, so doing some research on that. No trade, no signal. Okay, that's really good. That's good info. Thank you. There was a micro retest at overnight high. I actually missed the little scalp entry right there. At this point, more than likely, we'll just stay patient until 10 a.m. I had the main entry that I wanted, and I got trailed out in the micros on that little wick. Not only trailed out, but ate a ton of slippage because my trail, like I said, was at 34. We need to clear 800. If buyers can clear 800, it looks way better. Let's get an update on our higher time frames here. Yeah. So a break of prior day high would definitely be pretty significant, especially given the fact that on the 4-hour and daily chart, we're coming from a major area of support, major pivot. Alex, how do I mark my pivots? I just use very basic market structure. So I look left on the chart, see where prices responded previously, and I watch for a response in that zone again. My technical approach is incredibly simple. So you can see the blue zone here. Well, NQ getting into 800. So this is that prior day high, 24,800 level of interest area with about 8 minutes till 10 a.m. More than likely would still be riding the long here. It's just one of the realities of trading, getting taken out like that. When something like that happens, the trick is to not let your emotions put you into a sticky situation with chasing or, some sort of FOMO entry or adding size. Just got to let it go. Let it pass. It'll be all right. And Q, here's a true test of prior day high. We have good volume coming in now. So I'd like to see post 10 a.m. if these highs can sustain. Got about 6 minutes till 10. That's one of the hardest things to do and learn it. Do you mean the about sitting still? If that's what you're talking about, I would agree. 100%. Yeah. Yeah, once you have the technical foundation and some real edge, the objective then is just to stay out of your own way, not self-sabotage, not let the emotions run the show. Making money in the market is not the hard part. The hard part is keeping it. Can you hold on to it? That was like a foundational realization very early in my development when I was trading options, because what I started to notice was that most of the positions I would put on would go to at least 20% gain before they eventually went, negative or went full stop. And so it just dawned on me when, while I was in those early struggles, I'm just like, damn, what if I just locked some of it or locked all of it at 20%? And that was a big shift for me in my trading in those early years. Tom, well done, man. That was nice. That was the good reentry. This thing's just vertical, geez. ES into prior day high. Yes, we're going to the moon today. Not so fast, not so fast. Careful with that. That'll have you buying highs right when it pulls back. So no FOMO, stay patient. I mean, I've not even done anything else here. We had two entries. We had the 626 entry, and then Ahmad was asking about the next entry. I'd mentioned the overnight high. I missed that little microstructure there. I think I was distracted or something. That's been about it for this morning so far. So all right, there's 10 a.m. Yeah, Jacob. So too many times I bought highs, got destroyed on pullbacks just to watch it hit TP minutes later. Yep. Then you had to sit through the pain of that drawdown and all that anxiety with that. It's better to just wait. So if we can see a hold in this area, I'd definitely be interested. A retest and hold. But next upside level, I mean, this thing could just continue. Next upside level is 25K. NQ fresh highs. Hey, Gabe, it happens. It happens. It happens. Don't let that frustration bleed into more damage, you know? Don't take it out on the market, because the market will slap you right back. The way to look at it is like, hey, you had the right position, you had the right entry, you got taken out on some slippage in MNQ versus NQ, because NQ did not put in that same move, right? And so what that tells us is that you have the long-term edge there. It's just today was like a little bit of an anomaly. And that's part of the game that we deal with as traders. It's like you had the idea right, you had the execution right, and then something that is totally out of your control took you out. So nothing to do about it. Tom, you're still riding? My God, man. Yeah, what is that? 200 points from overnight high? The near term's definitely starting to turn, right? Starting to show a change of character here. Tom, 200 points, second day in a row. Congrats, man. That's huge. Make sure you pay yourself. ES coming into 6,700. Right now is purely a patience game. See if we get another entry or not. This is one of those situations where if you miss the move, if you miss the long, you're like, oh man, I can't go any higher. I may as well just short. And then you end up shorting in no man's land and just get steamrolled. Take some time to come back to prior to AI. Yeah, it's 100 points lower, but we got time. The day is young. Shorting an uptrend is fastest way to go broke. Yeah, that's valid. See how this 5 and 15 minutes shape up. Starting to see a little bit of exhaustion there. Volume's below average pretty much all morning. And NQ fresh highs. Up 3K times 3 funded accounts. Nice. It's a solid day. Let's check ES. Yeah, so you probably had some microstructure right through here. Last week's low, 66.55, and then at the overnight high. Very similar to NQ. ES held support though. That's for sure. The 6600. Look at that 5 minute. Wow. There's only been one red 5 minute bar. My goodness. Tom trailing 883. You got to post a trade review, man. Incredible play. Well done. Here's 25K. What's this move? 412 points. 412 points, and we are long from the low and got taken out. Oh no. See, there's one of those situations where chasing higher actually would have paid. Then you just treat your brain to a little dopamine snack. Oh, chase higher, get paid. Chase higher, get paid. Like a monkey. Chase higher, get paid. And the next 2 to 3 months are going to be quite painful when you keep doing that and find out the hard way that chase higher, get paid is not a real thing. That's why making sure your habits are just so locked in is so, so important. Got to run a tight ship. Yeah. Gabe, nice work. 4K on Top Step. Well done. ES maybe showing a little rejection there at 6,700. Let's see how this next 30-minute bar closes. Look at your 15. That still has 6 minutes on it, but bit of exhaustion visible there. Tom, all out 933. Was that your biggest trade on a points basis? That's huge. That's got to be, yeah, flat 200 plus points there. Sushi Friday came early. Let's go, man. Heck yeah. I wouldn't mind getting another trade off, but will we actually see an entry? That is the question. All right, Tom, take care, man. Well done again. Congrats. What's up, Ray? Yeah, we're chilling. Yeah, I like the prior to AI 800 retest. If we had a favorable setup there, I'd give it a try. Looking for shorts? Nah, not looking for any shorts. Mario, welcome back, sir. So 15 minutes through the prior bar low. Let's see how our intraday fib retrace is looking here. Okay. So 800 stays on watch. Yeah, below average, below average relative volume. That's a 5-day look back, Mario. $25K lower high. Yeah, if we get a shooting star here, yeah, that hourly, keep an eye on that hourly, 2 hour. And Q just kind of drifting lower. Again, I'm looking at the 24,800 area. So far, we're seeing a rejection of the 25K level of interest. ES has rejected the 6,700, is now retesting prior day high. How's our profile looking? The volume point of control shifted overhead, 941. About an hour and 15 into the morning. How's everyone's session so far? Cash. Kevin, phenomenal. Nice. What was the trade, Kevin? Critique, one win, trade per plan. Well done. Well done. That's all we can ask for, right? Trading our plan. Twenty points on ES. Nice. APT plus some longs, Kevin. Nice. Alex, how do I use VOP? You mean volume point of control? I take it. NQ is starting to get into that prior day high. I'm more than likely going to wait for the actual 800 rather than trying the prior day high. I don't love to see that hourly shooting star we just discussed at 25K. That was a good shout, Mario. Thanks. So extra cautious at the 800, especially with all the volume now overhead. Session volume point of control overhead and price beneath kind of tells us potential distribution up here at the level of interest. And typically, Alex, you were asking about it. Typically, I'll use that volume point of control as a reference point for target setting or to help me build some conviction in a trade idea. Like yesterday, when price was building out this structure, we had volume point of control down in this area. So if I'm trying longs in here or wanting to go with the spring setup, having volume point of control down through here can help me add some conviction to the trade idea, because my assumption is that it's accumulation in that structure. Volume profile definitely goes far more advanced than what I'm talking about right now, but those are kind of the basic ways in which I personally incorporate it into my system. So ES has failed prior day high. NQ, we have an uptick in volume. NQ, there's prior day high. So let's see if there's any interest near 800 or not. It's looking a bit heavier now. Let me see that 5-minute. And yeah, check your hourly. That's a big shooting star. So kind of as expected, no interest there at prior day high for NASDAQ. I would like to see a bounce versus 800 and then a micro higher low near the prior day high for positioning. Otherwise, I'm going to pass on this area just based on what we saw in the hourly there. Or within the context of a neutral bearish backdrop. And you're starting to see some volume come in now. Ray, you want it down into the overnight high with the fib buy zone? Yeah, I could see that. Definitely be a deeper retrace. We do have about 5 minutes till 11 a.m. Remember that 11 a.m. move yesterday marked the low. Usually that 11 a.m. you'll see a little flurry, little burst of action with the new 30-minute and hourly bar. And NQ through 800. All right, Mario. Take care, man. We'll see you in the think tank. Yeah, like I said, staying extra patient with that 800. We'll have a few extra criteria for trying anything there, but it's just sliding right through, so we don't even have to give it too much thought. I just want to see this 11 a.m. here in about 3 minutes, and then more than likely we'll just call it with my one scalp for the morning. There's your 50% fib, so half of the intraday rally has been retraced. Thanks, Alex. I've not always been this patient. I'll tell you that. I've been trading for 10 years. Definitely have not always been this patient. Takes a long, well, for me, it took a very long time too. Really just be comfortable with doing less and sitting on your hands, waiting for that A+ opportunity, not being overly active, not trying to catch every wiggle in price, just waiting for what we call the fat pitch. Get paid to wait, exactly. Ray, the 1 hour, yeah, I saw that big shooting star from 25K too. And look, we have elevated RVol right now as well. It's like 3x, 3x. I couldn't do the long from here, Ray, just to kind of offer a counter idea, because then I'm going to bump right into the level of interest. So I mean, if you're still thinking long, what I would want is something like this, and then give me the second entry in that area. The asymmetrical returns with the second entry won't be as good, but it will be, in my opinion, a safer play. So higher hit rate and a bit more favorable considering the backdrop. APT runs 4 a.m. to 4:05 p.m. And yeah, it runs through news, but if you're an APT user, you can turn it off anytime. There's 11 a.m. Yeah, Andreas, spot on. The best thing to do with APT is, I mean, check it check it at the end of the week, honestly. That's the intent of automation, at least from my perspective. Like, if I'm going to watch the thing, I'll just take the trades. Now, of course, you want to make sure there's no issues or anything like that, but as long as you have all the safeguards in place, broker side, daily loss limits, things of that nature, you're golden. Are the times Eastern? Anytime we talk about time in this community, it's Eastern. New York time. New York Stock Exchange, New York time. How much am I up with my scalp? I think like 2.8. Yeah, pretty late day, unfortunately. So that trade was with lighter size due to the volatility, and then the slippage ate about 20 points. So it's unfortunate, but that's just part of trading. Nothing to really do about it. Millions. Not quite, Ray. Not quite. So we got some good volume here. I'm more than likely going to call it. What I'm going to be looking for a late morning opportunity, big if it materializes. But if we're gonna bounce, if we're gonna see price bounce from here, like kind of a reclaim like this, and then give me the second entry like we were just discussing near 800. Otherwise, I am done for the day. Yesterday was a very, very hard fought day. We were red for the stream and then closed the day green. Thankfully, posted all the executions. But that was a lot of trades, man. I don't like trading that much. But one thing I'm proud about yesterday is just keeping my composure, just keeping cool, waiting for the edge and continuing to execute on my plan. Like we were saying about half hour ago, it's just one of the more challenging parts once you have an edge, is keeping the emotions together. So hope you guys had a good morning. The game plan that we discussed today worked out pretty much perfectly, but as we all know, or as you should know, execution is a totally different story. Analysis is just one small piece of the puzzle. We'll keep it going in the Traders Think Tank. We do have NVIDIA earnings after the close today. That's more than likely going to be market moving for NASDAQ. And then we do have NFP tomorrow morning, assuming that government data is back to being reported. So just a couple of things to keep in mind and look forward to. Hope you guys had a good session. Thanks for your time today. We will see you tomorrow.